Hi everybody, I just thought I'd do a quick video on some of the issues on the USI referendum. The production values in this video are going to be pretty crappy, so I apologise for that in advance. Basically what I'm going to go through is how I performed cross-site scripting attacks on USI's voting site, how it was possible to steal other people's login details, why online banking, ATM machines and paper ballots are all far more secure than USI's online voting system, and how it's possible to cast multiple fraudulent votes if you're capable of fraping. Now, just to clarify, I haven't actually done this and phished anyone's votes. What I'm trying to do is to prove that it was possible and that USI's website wasn't secure. My background is that I'm an e-commerce developer and we perform security audits, and this is the kind of stuff that we check for daily, and this is what I did to USI's website. I used a web security scanner called NetSparker, and there's a couple of others too called Burp Suite, and Acunetics. And what they check for is cross-site scripting attacks, if they're possible or not, and SQL injections. So when I ran USI's website through one of the scanners, it showed up this, which means that it might be possible to perform a cross-site scripting attack. Basically what that means is that I can inject my own code into USI's website, and that means that I can change the appearance and content of the website. So once I got this, the next thing to try and decide was whether this is a false positive or whether it was actually possible to do it. And in order to do that, I have to perform what's called a proof of concept test. This is a very basic test to see if it's possible to put code in USI's website. So this is one of the pages that was on USI's website. What I'm going to do is a basic test. I'm going to put in some text or some code up in the address bar. Now, if the site's coded properly, that should result in a 404 error. But if it's not coded properly, that code will be injected onto the page itself. So this is what happened. Keep an eye on this address form here. Okay. So you can see that what I put up here actually got put out in the page itself, and this means code injection is possible. So then if you go and do a more advanced version and put some other stuff up in the address bar, we can inject this, which is a fake login form. That means that if anyone came to this page and tried to log on, I could steal their details, take them and quickly go over to Edugate, and that means I can be confirmed as you as a student, and then I can go and cast a vote. That's basically voter fraud and how you can do it on USI's website. In order to get people back to the fraudulent form, this form here, what you could do was shorten this with bit.ly, then go on social media like Twitter and Facebook, and just keep spamming that link, just keep spamming it to get people on it, and then once they're on, you can steal their login details. Now, because this fake login form, it's actually on the USI website itself, so if someone lands on it, it looks pretty legitimate, and that's what kind of makes it so easy to do. So when I posted about this on Saturday, the reaction was something along the lines of, so what, this can happen with online banking, it doesn't mean that USI's voting system isn't secure or online banking isn't secure. That's not true. It's not true at all. So this is basically how online banking works. In order to use online banking with AIB, you need your login details, but you also need a code card. So every time you use AIB banking, you have to get 2 unique codes from the code card to go and use it. So if you try to do what I did with USI's site, which is fished for login details, I still wouldn't be able to do this. Okay, so that's what's known as two-factor authentication, and most secure systems, or systems which aim to be secure, use this. Okay, so briefly, if we look at some other common examples, ATM machines, you need 2 factors to authenticate yourself. You need the ATM card and the PIN number. So if you look at any normal kind of paper ballot or method of voting, there are still 2 factors that you need to authenticate yourself. The first is ID, and the second is that a polling clerk will check that ID is actually yours. So if you have ID, but it's not yours, you can't vote. And if you don't have ID, you can't vote. So what this basically does is it protects you from being impersonated. No one can use your details to go and vote. They can't use your ID to go and vote. This is exactly what the problem is with USI system, is that this doesn't happen. So if we look at USI Preferendum, the only thing you need is valid login details. Nothing else. So if anyone has those valid login details, they can impersonate you. And that's pretty easy to do, as I've shown, and I'll show an even easier way of doing it. So USI are using Edugate, and that's a system which uses what's called a single sign-on. That means if you're signed into one of Edugate's services like eJournals or anything like that, or if you're logged into a PC in college, you don't have to sign in again to vote in USI's referendum. Okay, so just to put that in context, you don't always need passwords to vote in USI's referendum. So to give you an example, if let's say you're in UCD and you're logged into one of the PCs and the LGs and you'd have to go to the toilet, that would mean that anyone could just walk up to that computer and use your vote in the referendum. So another example would be, let's say you're in your flat and you're logged into like an eJournal or something, and you go to the kitchen to make food. It would mean that anyone who could just walk up to your computer would be able to vote on your behalf. And this is because Edugate can't actually check if you are the person who is using the login details. So this is basically what's wrong with USI's Preferendum. In USI's Preferendum, the database checks that the login details are valid, but there's absolutely no check that those details are yours, and this is because you only use one factor for authentication. In any normal voting system, the polling clerk checks, one, that you have ID, and two, that ID is actually yours. And these two factors prevent the kind of impersonation that USI's Preferendum allows and makes easy. Basically, Edugate is as secure from fraudulent voting as Facebook is secure from fraping. I think we've all experienced fraping. You know, you leave yourself logged in and you walk away from your laptop, you come back and, you know, someone's posted something like, oh, I'm a paedophile or whatever. It's pretty easy to do, and because Edugate works in the same way, it's pretty easy to do as well. You leave yourself logged in and you walk away or something, and someone comes along and votes on your behalf. So, you know, this is a pretty straightforward problem. That once you're logged into either service, they can't actually check if the person who goes and either posts a status update or votes is the person that the login details belong to. And this is probably the main problem with USI's referendum, and the difference between it and most other kind of forms of voting. In most credible voting systems, there's this kind of protection against people impersonating you, but in USI's Preferendum that doesn't really exist because they're only using one factor for authenticating voters. And that's the reason why almost every business has moved away from the kind of one factor method that USI is using. So if you look, again, online banking, you need your login details and the code card. If you're using a credit card in a shop, you need the card and the PIN. If you don't have one or the other, you can't use it. ATM machines, same thing, you need the card and the PIN, and if you don't have one or the other, you can't vote, or sorry, you can't use it. But in USI's referendum, you know, that's not the case. So you have a couple of hours left if you want to go and kind of frape anyone to commit voter fraud. You know, it's pretty simple. There's nothing people can do about it.